Because I walked out one day with the intent to take my life. I still remember walking out. I was living at my dad's house. I walked out and I was going down the street, and I had it in my mind that was the day. And something inside of me did not let me go through, which I'm so thankful for. Don't confuse a moment for a lifetime. Don't confuse a season for an identity. Stay in the game. I promise it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, it may not even be a few months from now, but if you continue to seek, you shall find.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Journey to Solutions podcast, where we interview people from all walks of life who've overcome the impossible. We shine light on one simple truth: no matter your past, no matter your pain, with the power of God, anything is possible. Today we have a very special guest. So it's very rare for me, and I'm in the world with a lot of people doing ministry, recovery, service, where you find these people that genuinely care about you with no hidden agenda. Like when they say, how are you doing? They actually care. And they actually do want to follow up with you, and they do want to hang out with you, and they do want to connect with you. You know, it's very interesting because a lot of people say they're like that, but I always say, don't trust what someone says. Watch how they treat people, and that'll tell you exactly what they believe in. And so this person is the owner of one of the longest standing treatment centers, Pacific Shores Recovery. He is the author of The Recovery Way, which is how to heal from any addiction and start enjoying life again. He's an incredible man. He's a godly man. He's people-centered. And I want to introduce Mark Manderson.
Dang, man. I'm hearing that. I'm like, wow, thank you.
Yeah,
that felt good hearing that being said.
It's the truth. Have you always been this genuine?
Well, no. Gosh, we're jumping right into it. No, I spent the majority of my life not knowing who I was. And so I got really good at wearing masks to try to be what I thought people wanted me to be.
What were some of those masks that you wore?
Oh my gosh. Well, it varied, whatever people needed. I would. So my parents got divorced when I was 6, and I thought I was very unique. I was the only one that thought my parents got divorced because of me.
Right.
In therapy, I started learning, like, no, that's your parents' issue. But I got really good at putting the mask on of, okay, I think mom wants this good boy to love the good boy. Dad wants this young man to love the young man. And I got really good at being a chameleon. And for a lot of my life, like through high school, college, people referred to me as fake. And
oh, wow. So people have actually pointed that out.
oh, yeah. I actually, like my best friend still to this day, when we were in a band together and we were touring, doing different stuff, people would share it. He's like, dude, you just got to get to know him. Like, he really is sincere. And there was always the part of the sincerity, but it wasn't coming from me. It was coming from, I want you to approve of me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so it took a while until I finally, I still struggle with it. I haven't mastered it yet, but there's still a part of me that's kind of like, yeah, I want people to like me, but at the same time, I want to be me. And when I'm happiest is when I find that if people are hurting and there's a way for them not to hurt anymore, if I can help them get to that point, that's where I get ultimate joy. And this may sound weird, but it's purely selfish. Like, I love the way I feel when I'm the conduit that God used to put something in someone's life where they're like, hey, I learned this from you. And I'm like, okay, thank you for using me. How do I continue to not taint this version of me, if that makes sense? Because, dude, that's the biggest battle. When I wake up in the morning, I do my morning routine, I am so locked in. I'm like, okay, in this moment, I'm pure, use me. And then I screw it up throughout the day.
How do you let me ask you that too. Like, how do you, so you get to this place, people are pointing it out now that you're being fake, you know, it's always something when someone catches you in the lie or the exaggeration, you're like, that's not true. You didn't say that last time. You start hearing that from people. How do you kind of start that journey of like, okay, when am I wearing a mask and when am I genuinely being me? Because sometimes, you know, like being a good person, you can use kindness as a form of manipulation without even knowing it. Yeah. And so how do you start to differentiate those two to like be true to yourself?
I don't know if we ever fully get rid of the different masks. I think that was one, I'll call it delusion that I thought. Like, who's the true me? I'm like, well, I always want to be authentic to me, but what I've found is if I communicate one way to an individual and it's genuine, but there's a little bit of, okay, I'm going to not morph, but open this part up completely to this person, they're able to hear more, where if I kept this part closed, but this part was open, people would be like, dude, I don't get you at all, but I'm authentically me. So it's owning all the versions of me, if that makes sense. So I'm a goofy, go-lucky, fun kind of person. I love just really enjoying everything. And then there was the serious part, and I didn't know that you could actually blend the different parts. So I was like, okay, here's serious, here's fun. And then sometimes when you're serious, it's kind of like, we can still have fun in the seriousness. And so this is the part where...
And how do you do that?
Gosh, like what are the steps?
Yeah.
So here
Come
are
on,
the,
Mark. I
here
know
are the
you
12
are.
steps that.
Mark, let's break it down. Let's make it practical.
But no, well, it's a good question, because I used to think in black and white. And I'm like, if someone could just tell me what to do and I did it, then I'd get the outcome. And I don't think much of life works that way. I think we can have, that's why I love frameworks. So you can have frameworks to say, okay, if I do this, I'll get pretty close to the outcome, but I don't think there's this perfection. And that's the part that really struggled with me, was I wanted the perfection, because I thought I have to do this the way they want me to do it for them to accept me, not knowing that it has all to do with my own insecurities. So I started working through that and acknowledging it. I mean, there's even times now where I'm talking, I'll even bring it up to people. I'm like, man, I'm noticing I'm feeling insecure in this one part. Even as we're conversing, let me process this. And people are like, dude, that was really weird. I'm like, okay, then I guess I'm the weird guy. But I'm wanting to understand here, to be present.
Yeah.
Actually happened this morning with a client. There was a lot of frustration. I'm like, I'm not able to see it how you're saying it yet. Let me take a step back and really share it with me. And once he shared with me, I'm like, man, I'm just hearing someone that's in a lot of pain right now. And had I not given myself permission to do that, I don't know if I would have fully been able to hear. Even though I disagreed with what was going on, I'm like, this isn't my agenda. I want to connect with another human being right now. And the end of it actually ended up being amazing. It was like, wow, this is great.
No, that's incredible. And yeah, so what I'm hearing is that, so are you naturally more like analytical, data-driven, like you said, black and white, like natural? You're being wired that way, would you say?
I don't know. I like knowing what steps to take. I think it goes back to being the good boy.
Yeah.
It's like, if I know what to do, I can do that to get the result. But what I've noticed and accepted a lot is that I'm a feeler. Like I really enjoy feeling and connecting. And there's really here's the steps to feel and emote. I don't know if it's because I was primarily raised with my mom and my sister. So coming from a feminine household of just feeling and emotions were big, and it's like, oh, okay, let me feel some of this. And then other times with my dad and single masculine energy. So I've been able to experience a lot over the years.
That's incredible. Yeah, I was raised by my mom, and I had a sister. My mom had sisters. And so even like today, I find myself, I can really connect with women in a very platonic way. I just know how to like be around it. You know what I mean? I know how to, sometimes I almost feel even more comfortable around it as well, and stuff like that because of that. If anything, it almost created a disconnect from male figures more for me. Kind of
because there's safety there, right?
Yeah, and since I didn't really have the relationship with my dad, connecting with men sometimes was even a little bit more harder. And it was pretty crazy, because when I was growing up, it was like, okay, why do I have a hard time making guy friends? I have a lot of friends, but they really don't know me. Or why do I, and it's like, well, think about it. A girl, if she thinks you're cute, that kind of is a thing that makes her want to hang out with you. But a guy's like, unless you're cool, or have some value, I don't want to hang out with you. And I was like, mind blown. I was like, whoa. So that's why I push those away, because I don't feel like I have anything to offer, you know? So for you, and the funny thing I always like to talk about with you too is, you know, because you've owned a treatment center for how long now?
We just hit 26 years in January.
So 26 years, and you're not a recovering drug addict or alcoholic.
No.
And usually, most people get into that world because that's their past story, or usually people that are not an addict but get into that world don't last that long. But you're not a drug addict or alcoholic. Because notice I said those two. Yeah. You're addicts to other things.
You're like, Mark, you've been in denial for so long. This actually is an intervention. No, I'm kidding.
And you also had one of the longest standing treatment centers. How did you even get into this world? And what is it that you find fascinating about this world that you just want to continue to serve in?
Yeah, so I don't know who came up with this quote, but it resonated. It said, drugs destroyed my life, and I wasn't even the one using them. So it's right around 8 years old, somewhere between 8 and 10. my aunt came to live with my mom, my sister, and me. She had just been kicked out of a rehab.
And is this your mom's sister?
Yeah, my mom's sister. And so I had bunk beds in my room. So Aunt Steffi lived with us, and she was the fun, outspoken aunt. Like, everybody loved her.
Quiet, yeah.
And so I remember coming home one day. I don't know if it was summer, winter. The memory's so all over the place. But I remember walking in, and she was on the ground. There were pills everywhere. And so I was the one that found her when she OD'd. So I went and I grabbed my mom. My mom was able to revive her. But because 2 kids, she said, I love you. You're my sister. We're still going to help you, but you can't be here. My kids could have died from this. And then a few months later, I don't know, a few towns over, same thing happened, but she ended up passing. And so from a young age, this imprinted on me. So I still to this day, I'm terrified to try any drugs because knowing how I am, and my wife says it lovingly, making fun of me. She's like, you are the craziest person I've ever met. When you say you want to learn something, you buy the books, you take the course, you go to the person, you go all in, you disappear for weeks, you binge on this stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, doesn't everybody? She's like, no, like that's addictive behavior. Yeah. And so that's where I'm like, oh, so, I mean, it's fortunate and unfortunate. I say my aunt unfortunately gave her life to this disease, but because of it, we've been able to go now and impact, like, I don't know how many people 26 years later, but I don't think I would be doing this if it wasn't for that first memory. And actually, I fought it for a while. And then when I first started, I had no business doing it. And everybody in the program was like, you don't give a crap. You can't help me. You don't understand. You're not one of us. And I believed it. I'm like, oh, shoot. I probably can't. I actually bought that lie for a while. And so I just kept getting more educated of truly wanting to learn, what is it like? How can we help? And I thought, where else in life can you not help a person unless you went through exactly what they did? And so that was where I started thinking, going, in every medical field, like some of the best oncologists I know, they didn't go through cancer, but they're so knowledgeable. They're able to help that they'll never know the pain. But I think somebody even said this, like, you don't know this type of cancer from this type of cancer. This cancer has pain in this level as opposed to here. And I'm thinking, even if I did, I wouldn't know the pain they're carrying because we all have different levels of pain. And so that was where I just wanted to, my heart has always been this way of wanting to see if a person is in pain, is there a way to help them get out of pain? And the more educated I got, the more I learned we create like 99.9% of our pain. That blew my mind. I create the bulk majority of the pain I feel in this world. Now, it's not conscious.
Right.
And as I started to learn that, I thought, how can we start putting it together to help people heal from the inside out? Because the addiction, from what I started to see, was actually the solution to the problem. I never saw it that way. I thought the addiction was the problem.
Explain that.
So if, I'll put it this way. So I've never met a married couple where you meet them and you're like, oh my gosh, my marriage is on fire. The sex is unbelievable. We're in business together. We make money. Like, the kids are great. Oh, I love being with her. I'm going to get a divorce.
Right.
Right? Like someone would be like, what? Usually it's, here's all the pain, so here's what I'm doing for that. So as I started talking with more and more people, I've never met someone that's like, I started doing drugs because it was fun and I love it and I love the consequences and everything with it. I'm going to do it for the rest of my life. It's usually, this was a way for me to escape some form of pain.
Right.
To either numb pain that I didn't want to feel or feel feelings I didn't know how to feel.
Right.
And I'm like, whoa. So as I started going down the different rabbit holes, learning more, by finding out what led to that, when we start to address that, the organic byproduct is I say, I'm living a life now that isn't perfect, but I love who I am and what I'm doing. I don't want to sedate from it anymore.
Yeah.
And that was a part where I'm like, okay, this is cool. Why didn't they teach this in high school, in college? Like, I would have loved to have learned this stuff. So that's why what we do now is we say, let's get to the core issue. Let's help you resolve that. And then you can make the decision if you want to keep sedating or not. And what I found is almost always they're like, no, I love this version of me.
Yeah, and that's so powerful, and it's and I love that, right? Because I think a lot of people, because it's true in the recovery world, it tends to be the whole like, hey, if you're not an addict, you can't help me. I get it, you know what I mean? You hear it a lot. It's happened a lot. I've been there, but then you're right. It's like, okay, then how do some of these people that aren't, and usually one, it's they know somebody, aunt, mom, something.
Yeah.
They have an understanding.
Yeah,
of
we
it,
have to
right?
be impacted
Yeah,
somehow for us to actually give a crap
in
about
that world,
something.
right?
Yeah.
And that's normal. And so usually there's that, but then also, like you said, you took it a step further. It's like, go out of your way to educate yourself, ask questions, figure out the pattern, learn. You can learn a lot if you look for it to have a great understanding, and then you could find ways to connect it. I mean, for you, you're an obsessive person, so you can just be like, oh, wow, okay, so the way I do this is the way they do that. And I see how maybe my wife says, you know, you got to slow down, and I don't listen. It's like, oh, I get, okay, it's not as easy as you think. I get it. Sometimes I got to crash and burn, or I don't realize I'm doing it. Oh, but I'm doing it because maybe I am escaping something I'm feeling, whatever it is, anxiety, fear, whatever it is. I get it. And then it's not about talking about drugs or alcohol, but more of the emotions, the escape. And I love it because it's so true. There's this thing that I was told one time, or I heard, when people are like, why'd you drink and get high? Because it made me feel good. Yeah. But you didn't know it was going to make you feel good the first time. So why did you drink and get high the first time, not the second time? To fit in, to be accepted, whatever. And then it's like, okay, let's look there. What was going on about yourself? You know, you start to figure out all these things. And I love that. I feel like if you don't have a life worth living for, it's going to be kind of hard to want to be clean and sober. But if you have something to live for, you may be like, I really want to drink, but I also really love my life. I won't drink today. Yeah. And so I love that. And for you, like, what was it like if you were to, like, let's say somebody came up to you that wants to work in the addiction world and they're not an addict, what would be like some steps you would give them to start working on understanding the addict? Where would you point them?
Well, first, just go out on the street and just start talking to people, see how you can help. That was one of the biggest things I first started doing, was just seeing people and asking. So one thing that, it's funny, I used to think this was liability, but it ended up being something that I just, again, I assume everything I do is so run-of-the-mill, completely normal. But I was the guy who would ask the dumbest questions in school. Like, literally, when I'd raise my hand, ask a question, I heard everybody behind me like, oh my gosh. Because I genuinely wanted to understand why something. It's like once they can dumb it down to my level, which is way down here, I'm like, okay, now that I got it, we're good. So I would just consistently ask. I would be the why guy. Like, why? But why? Yeah. And as I started hearing how people would put to words, I thought everybody was like, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but so unique. Once I started talking to people, I'm going, oh my gosh, we are so similar. When we are in pain, we will do just about anything to numb that pain. But it's in the pain that actually, like, the pain itself carries that crucial information that is able to unlock us. So by learning how, like, not to suffer, but to lean in and to listen to this is where I started to see the healing happen. And so a lot of the times it's creating a safe enough space to say, I'm just going to jump in here with you to sit in the pain. We don't need to fix it. We're just going to listen. And a lot of times we're like, I've never sat in this and listened. I've sedated and ran from it. No matter how fast I run, it's like, there's the shadow. Go, okay, what's the shadow want to tell you? This is where I, like, when I first discovered the shadow work from Jung, and then Debbie Ford has a great book. Was it the Light of the Shadow Chaser? I forget the name, but it's a brilliant book.
And what is the shadow for people that don't know?
Dark side of the light chasers. So the shadow is the part that we want to repress. Like, we don't want people to know, like, there is a total asshole within me. And so we suppress and repress and don't want that. But it's like all the most horrific parts of me, they just want to be loved and accepted. So I think we shared this before when we talked sometime last year. But so I battled depression. I became suicidal after school of not knowing what my purpose was, feeling like a total failure.
It's after college or high school?
Yeah, right during the college phase, and then afterwards, like, everybody knew their purpose, and I'm like, so when's my calling gonna arrive? Like, I missed that day. I must be so screwed up. And so the shadow is actually learning how to love all aspects of you. And so of actually learning too, because I tried to ignore my depression. I'm a really good stuffer, and I have I didn't know this, I have a very high capacity for pain, apparently. Had no clue. I just keep stuffing. And then eventually you blow up, and it's never on a random stranger. At least in my case, it's the people that I love the most. I'm like, I don't want to hurt you. Why does this keep happening? And so for me, when I first got introduced to shadow work, it was actually going into my depression, which his name is Hal. Had no clue he had a name.
Hey, where you at, Hal?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and that's where the person running me through this is like, so interesting, shallow Hal. And I'm like, oh my God, you suck. Because I was like, I was the guy. So When people are like, oh, you didn't do drugs? I'm like, well, I don't know. Women can be considered drugs. When I was younger, I would not want me around my daughter. And so
Would you say that was one of your addictions in a sense? Was like relationships, being with women, dating?
Yeah, I think so, because I didn't know how to love myself.
Yeah.
And so I had this brilliant idea of like, if I can manipulate a woman to see the version I think she wants of me, she'll love me, and there's a validation. Which again, I'm the only one that's ever struggled with that.
Yeah, right.
But so as I started doing the shadow work, I'm like, I still remember I was in my shower and Hal shows up. I'm like, Hal, like I thought I did the work. Like, what the hell? And he just started talking to me. And that was the moment that opened everything to me. Is I just kept saying, I'm like, what the hell do you want from me? Like, what do you want? Why won't you just leave me alone? He goes, so this is the picture that he painted. He said, I see you, I look in, it's all glass, and here's your dining room. He's like, I see laughter at the table. I see love. I see ecstasy. I see fulfillment. I see joy. I even see anger. I see everybody around the table. And you won't even let me inside. And that was, I'll get emotional. That was a moment where I'm like, I've never loved you. I've misdiagnosed you as you wanting to hurt me, but you've been protecting me this entire time.
Wow.
And that was where I was like, yeah, man, some messed up stuff happened to you when you were younger. Like, do you remember? And then that was where started going like, I'm the one that found my aunt. I'm like, dude, there's no way. I asked my mom, and mom goes, yeah. Do you remember that? I'm like, apparently not.
Oh, you blocked it out.
Oh my gosh. There's so many moments in my life where, like, there's even times where my sister, she's 22 months younger. Do you remember this? I'm like, no. She's like, yeah, we did this and this. And all of a sudden, like, little parts come in. So there's bits and pieces like that throughout my life. But the gift that my depression gave me was I never knew it was trying to protect me. And once I said, I've never thanked you. Dude, do you know how vulnerable you have to be to thank your depression for keeping you safe? And so I thank that part of me. And I don't know how long it was. We were talking about the relativity of time. Felt like hours. I was just bawling, like this weight was lifted. And that was the first time I saw my depression as a gift. Never saw that before. And so even now, he comes, people are going to be like, dude, you lost me. But that's all right. Probably about 2 to 3 times a year, Hal shows up. It actually happened last year, towards the end of the year. I remember it was a Wednesday because I still do groups. Like one of my things, I still love doing groups. Hal showed up. It was about an hour before a group. And I'm like, all right, what do you want? He goes, I just want to be with you. I'm like, well, I can't because I got this and this. Hal's like, I'm just letting you know what I'm asking. And I went, oh, check. Okay. Got group covered. Called my wife. I'm wearing this after quite a few years. Honey, I'm totally fine. I'm not going to do anything, but I need to come home. I'm just going to lay in bed and just cry. So I get home, I get in bed, and no joke, Hal shows up, and I just start bawling like a freaking the little boy. And about 20 minutes after, he goes, thank you. I needed that. I just want to know that you still love me. I'm like, I wish someone would have told me this. It would have saved me decades of pain and trauma to learn to love these parts of me I'm too embarrassed to let know. And so that's why I'm a huge advocate of learning to love the darkest, ugliest, most horrific parts, because that part of us, just like all the things that we quote unquote say are fantastic in life, they want the same thing. And at the end, it was a seat at the table. So I told Hal, my buddy, I said, I thank you for teaching me this. I'm so sorry I pushed you off for all these years, but you have a seat at the table anytime you want to come in. I don't want to view you as good or bad. I just want to view you as an equal. And what's crazy is my depression hits. I love on it. I thank it. And this says, okay, we're still good. And it leaves. I'm like, this is the craziest thing. But actually, I've learned to love my depression. There's no way I would have thought I would ever say that.
I mean, that's powerful. I mean, it's so unique, your approach to it, because it's not the common thing you hear. The common thing you hear is, this is how you remove it. I'm never depressed anymore. I do this, and depressions never exist. Yeah. Or depression's fake, or depression, there's always different.
See, that didn't work for me. And the other part too, that I thought, and we actually have to educate a lot of our clients, is there's the humanistic side, is when someone is down. I didn't know, and I did this unconsciously, when I was depressed and thinking about ending my life, I would call my friends, and I became the most significant thing in their world. That I remember one of my buddies left work that day to come hang with me. Dude, it's going to be okay. And unconsciously, it's like we're giving the bad child all this attention.
Yeah.
But in an unhealthy way,
Yeah.
as opposed to like, you can have your tantrum. I'm not going to judge you. I'm here for you. And so as I started to learn that, I thought, I've been unconsciously manipulating, and it worked for a while.
Yeah.
Like I got so much sympathy. And again, it wasn't conscious. I'm not a conscious asshole. I'm
Yeah.
a very unconscious asshole. But nobody wants to be around the depressed guy all the time.
Yeah.
And so I developed a way to get angry. And all of a sudden, I start getting attention again when I was angry. So it was like this crazy 8 cycle. And so that is where once I learned to love that and not to say it's going to be okay, but to be like, dude, even if it's not okay, I'm still here with you. What are you needing? That changed the relationship with one of the dark sides of me.
Wow. Let me ask you this then. How do you, because I'm sure you could put words to it, if somebody's going, am I depressed or am I just sad?
Yeah.
How would you help someone kind of figure out which one's which?
So I love this. This is a great question because I didn't know this. And nowadays you can Google or chat GPT and it'll tell you, but stick with me for the theory.
Yeah.
There's something around, I think it's like 4,500 words that explain different emotions in the English language. Someone will be like, oh, it's only 2,000. You were wrong. Whatever it is, but stick with me.
Yeah.
I think it's somewhere around like 43 to 4,500.
Yeah.
So they've done a ton of studies with this, is they'll ask a person to identify different emotions they experience throughout the week. And they did it again and again. Do you know how many emotions the average American experiences in any given week?
How much?
It's somewhere around like 7 or 8.
Wow.
Not 100, not
Right.
80, 7 to 8. I think somewhere like around 10. And so what we look at is if I only have 10 words to describe 4,500 things, I'm going to start misdiagnosing or misplacing things to fit in what this is.
Yeah.
And so that's where I got really good. So you were saying, was I frustrated? Oh, no, I was depressed. Were you a little peeved? No, I was depressed. Were you pissed off? I learned anger. So anger kind of came in there. But I started labeling everything as depressed. So the smallest little thing, well, see, I'm depressed. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, what if we learn different reference points for different emotions that others have said, this is different than this. I just didn't have that vocabulary. So that's one of the things we do with our clients is really, let's widen the vocabulary that we have to see, are you really depressed? Which if you are, okay, we've got the tools to work with that. But I love the way you said it. Or is it you're frustrated or feeling dismissed or whatever it is? No, you know what? Actually, I'm feeling disrespected. Now, I love working with guys because like the bulk majority, it's like pissed off, did it? Let's go. Oh, disrespected.
Yeah.
It almost always comes down to disrespect when it comes to the male ego. So that's where we're able to say, okay, well, let's look at this. And almost always it's, I don't know how to respect this part of me, so I project my insecurities when someone else is. When I acknowledge this, dude, someone can disrespect you. Like, oh, okay, I respect the hell out of myself. This person's trying to be disrespectful. How can I be here to still serve? And that's where I think the fulcrum point kind of starts to shift. Of being like, I can still want to help people even when they're spitting on me, cussing at me, yelling at me. It takes a lot of work, still working. But I'm like, how cool. Like you talk about a superpower. Superpower I want is to be able to love the person regardless of how they react. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, do you know how much better that'd make my marriage? And I got a really good marriage. But right? Because we bring our own crap in, our own insecurities.
Especially in our love life. That's
and
the
then
one,
right away, it's never me at first. It's always my wife.
Oh, yeah.
And then I created an app in 2018, and I've got the series of questions, which if you're cool with this, can I share? It's on a Google document. Okay.
Well, remember, is that the one you sent me some stuff, or is that another thing?
I have no recollection. It might be. That's the wonderful gift of a crappy memory. I just keep giving it out. Right. But no, so on Instagram, I'm just Mark C. Manderson. If you just go ahead and DM me, we'll put Fausto.
Okay.
I'll know it's from you, and I'll send them the Google Doc. But it's just basically, it's a series of questions that allows us to see things from a complete different scenario. So we attach stories and meanings based on our own identity, and then we project that of what a person's doing, but we're the ones in pain. And so as I started learning this from all these different, I guess philosophers, therapists, different things, I put it together and went, here is a series of questions that I can bring in. Here's my original story, but by the end of it, I can see what is my part in this and why am I so triggered by this? And it literally, it rewired and retrained my brain to stop going so hard after another person, be like, well, this might be some valuable feedback. And as I started doing that, I'm like, wow, I call it turning the F you into a thank you. I'm like, they came at me, but here's what they here's what they expose that I struggle with. This is such a beautiful gift, because if I had kept going this route, and then this is how we do the work, we start changing, different little parts of the brain start going off. I'm feeling better even when crap's happening. I'm like, this is really cool. What if life is one big experiment of a tiny, small number of experiments? What a cool way to live life. Let me just keep experimenting. So sorry, I went down a rabbit hole, but
no, I love that. It's it's interesting how, right, like when I always say, like, your wife, let's say for people with the wives, right, like your wives will always be the ones that the husbands take it out on the most unconsciously.
Yeah,
right?
It's always our significant other.
There's, right, because there's that emotional vulnerability and right, and it's always you're the problem, not me, and stuff like that. And some people get stuck in that, right? I always tell people, you can die unhealed.
Most people do.
Yeah,
that's the sad part.
Just a convalescent. I love having conversations with people that work with people that are dying, because I go, hey, like, is there people that actually, like, no one shows up for? They're like, oh yeah, there's people that they never make it right. They're still angry, and so they burn all their bridges and they die alone. I'm like, wow, so you can die unhealed. They're like, yeah. And so, perspective where it's like, yeah, if you don't put in the work, you can live the rest of your life like that. And so I love that you're able to kind of look at your part and stuff like that. Because I know, like, for me, yeah, it's like, for me, right, my girl would be the one she can share with, but it's like, I had to work on when she's trying to help me. She's trying to help me. She's not trying to criticize me and say that I'm stupid, I don't know anything. But that's my subconscious thinking. Oh, so I'm stupid, I don't know anything, right? And she's like, whoa, I just said, if you want to put the blinds up, we can get this one. And that was all I'm saying. Oh, so the ones that I got, well, that you think. And she's like, dude, what's going on? Yeah. And I had to reprogram, like, oh, wait, remember your dad was critical with you. So anything that sounds like it triggers you.
We pass down our pain. And so that's where we learn. So one of the things that my wife and I do, not always, but when we remember, because you hit the nail on the head, it's like, okay, what did I observe? And then what is the story I created? And we used to always miss that part. Here's what you said. Here's where you're wrong. And it's like, okay, so like that, it's typically that way with my wife too, is we'll say something and I'll go, okay, you said this. Here's the story, like the crazy story I made up. You don't care about me. You're going to leave me. I'm never going to see the kids again. Like, that's what happened in my head. She's like, oh, sweet. That was never said, never implied, but that's the crazy part that my mind goes to of F everything, it's over. And so when we share, like, here's the crazy story that I made up. Yeah. And they're like, oh, now I can see why this is so triggering. And then you get to, what is it that I'm asking? I'm wondering if, and sometimes it's as simple, you just come over and just give me a hug and just say, babe, I got you. It's like, oh, that's what you want. I'm like, I did not ask for that. Yeah. Who would have thought?
And for you, what do you think that stems from for you? Like that automated thinking of, all right, you're going to leave me, it's over, this and that. Why does your mind automatically go there?
Well, I think it's from, I say evolution. People are like, oh, you believe in evolution? I don't mean that, but I mean just passed down DNA. If we go all the way back to, I don't know how many tens of millions of years, it's whatever, but it's like before it was, if you are not part of a tribe, you are exiled. If you are exiled, it means physical death. Yeah. So we've made a lot of changes, but emotionally and psychologically, nothing has really changed in the brain from the evolution standpoint. So there's still that reptilian part of the brain that goes, if she doesn't love me, that means I'm going to get kicked out. I think I'm going to die. So I will make up whatever crazy stories to try to force through this. So that's where it comes down to grace. When I can give myself grace to be like, okay, that's the automatic response system. The little boy, Terry Real, he's a great psychologist or therapist, and he talks about what is that? Maladaptive kids.
Maladaptive behavior?
No. There's a term for it. It's beautiful, but basically it's like it's our little kids that just have temper tantrums. So it's our kids that are trying to adapt to survive. And when we can recognize, oh, this isn't the healthy, mature version of me. Right. This is my adaptive child. That's what it's called. Okay. This is my adaptive child going, what do I have to do to just survive? And when we can recognize that, how? I can recognize that, like, hey, but what is it that you're needing right now? I just need to know I'm safe. You are. Okay. And then he kind of quiets down. It's like, oh, now we can come back over here. It's so intriguing to me. I love it.
I love that stuff. Yeah, I think shadow work, inner child work, being able to look at yourself separately in different ways of how you act, honoring stuff about you. I think it's so powerful. I always tell people, I think Oscar Wilde said it, I can't remember, but knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom.
Yeah.
If you know why you do what you do, it's powerful because then you can understand why people do what they do.
Yeah.
It's just, there's only so many reasons why people do what they do. And once you understand why you do it, you can start to have empathy and compassion, right? The perspective. I can't believe they did that. Well, hold on. I doubt it. They woke up this morning saying, I can't wait to do this to you. Let's take a step back. Maybe it's this, and maybe it could be that. It can also be this. So how about we just ask?
Yeah.
To clarify.
So one of the things that you hit on, again, the judgmental part of me is like, why didn't I learn this sooner? So the law of positive intention. I remember when I first heard this, I thought, I don't know why we're wired this way. I do now because of the reptilian part of the brain, but we assume the worst in everything. That's why so many people attack each other at different things. So one of the things we actually do this continual training with our teams is, what if we came in with positive intent, meaning everything everybody does in our center, in our world, there's a positive intention behind it. They're not trying to hurt you. They're actually trying to help you, but maybe not vocalizing it in a way you're able to hear it. And just that little switch starts to bring so much joy and gratitude into the day. So when someone cuts me off when I'm driving, that part of the brain goes, screw you. But when I go positive intent, he must have not seen me. Maybe he's in a rush. Let me go ahead and pull back. Like the smallest little things, I can assume they meant the best for me. They didn't try to hit me. They're not trying to be a dick.
Right.
They're just living their life. And actually, it's with positive intent. And I'll tell you, when I can keep that in the foreground of my mind, life, regardless of what's happening, is so wonderful. Even in the crap, I'm like, I'm grateful for the crap today. Isn't that crazy? It's just these tiny little tweaks because positive intention, he didn't mean to screw all this up. He meant to do this, but it led to this. Man, okay, what can we do together? How do we figure this out?
I love that. It is, right? Perspective is everything. I remember Chief, and you know Chief.
Yeah.
It's funny that you guys, because you know him from back in the day.
Back in the 80s, man.
And he taught me something so funny. I remember we were, when we got out to eat, right? Because when I first hung out with him every week to mentor me. And we go out to eat anywhere, Sizzlers. It can be like, Chick-fil-A and whatever. It takes all the clients. And he would always be like, Balso, just want to let you know something. This is the best damn burger I've ever had. And after months, I'm like, you say that about everywhere you eat, though. Isn't that like you lying? He goes, Balso, I'm sorry that every day is a good day for me and that every food is the best food. I choose to think like that. Who says I can't be like that? And I'm like, wow.
Here's the beautiful thing. And this is the part that as I'm getting older, I'm trying to figure out how to not go into. Do you know how much pain he probably had to endure to learn that?
Oh, I can imagine.
That's what we miss. When we're in pain, we're trying to dig out so hard we miss the gifts that are in there. But it's usually from the most painful, horrific things that we get to the place of going like, I'm grateful. I didn't have to raise this cow. I didn't have to spend years doing this. I didn't have to learn how to kill it and clean it and then cook it. I went to a place, gave them a few bucks, and they brought this perfectly seasoned burger out. Like, I don't want to go overboard, but I'm kind of like, when I think that way, it really makes so much of life enjoyable because I'm not focused on what's wrong. I'm focused on what's right.
How do you stay in that? Because, you see it in treatment. I'm sure you see with clients, right? First day, Mark, thank you so much. I have a bed. The shower was hot. Was that pasta? I'm so grateful. God is good. And then 2 weeks later, I was rubbing pasta again. The shower's not even hot enough anymore. My mattress is hurting my back. And it's like, what happened?
Yeah.
How do you practice staying in that gratefulness?
We turn the water cold once a week. No, I'm kidding.
We suffer, folks. I starve myself. We don't eat.
Well, you hit it perfectly. It's, how do I become aware of what my patterns are of survival? Because we get in the moment of gratitude and then we go right back to entitlement. So when I understand the awareness is I'm starting to take these things for granted. So this is why I said, how much pain do you have to go through? This is where I'm still working this theory out, but this is where I'm like, okay, I'm back into entitlement. Do I have to lose everything, or do I have to have life go to a horrific place for me to be grateful again? Or do I want to make that conscious decision now?
Yeah, let's go with that one.
And go, but then again, I'm attached to an outcome versus how do I detach it to say, whether I have everything or I lose everything today, I'm going to choose to love this. And you mentioned God earlier. Dude, when you go back and look at Job, one of the most God, I am all in on you. And blessed beyond his wildest dreams, going, God, I'm all in on you. And then I would love to be behind the scenes of God and Satan talking about, hey, you want to make a bet? I bet I can make this guy turn on you. And God's like, you're on. Like this first time I heard it this way, I'm like, I never thought of it that way. So God and the devil are like, okay, I'll take that bet. And so he takes, for those that don't know the book of Job, he goes ahead and he starts taking all his livestock, all his money. And Job goes, I still got my family. I still got my health. God, I love you. And Satan's like, all right, God, double or nothing. You talk about addiction. Double or nothing. I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
If I take away his family.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it's wife first and kids or the other way. And God goes, you're on. So take away his family. He goes, God, I still have either wife or kids, whatever one's still there, and I got my health. And so devil goes, triple or nothing. God goes, I'll take that bet. Job lost his wife, his kids, his livestock, his finances, and his health. Mm-hmm. And he wavered a little bit. Mm-hmm. He's like, God, I don't get it, but you know what? This isn't about me, it's about you. And this is the part where I'm like, I want that faith like Job. I'm humanistic. I don't have that. I want it and I fight for it, but I lose it all the time. But even at the point where he's like, I came into this world with nothing, I'll leave this world with nothing. God, I'm still all in. I feel a lot. Mm-hmm. And that's where Satan's like, dang, even with free will choice, the beings, these perfectly imperfect beings that you created still can choose you. And God's like, yeah. And then once the bet was done, Job got his health back, started getting everything back. And the moral of the story is not, if you're all in on God, you're going to get everything back, but it's how do I stay so in love with the process but not attached to the worldly things? And that's the part that's so tough. Yeah. Literally just had a conversation with my dad the other day. I don't think I've ever shared this story anywhere outside of just our crew. My firstborn, she was born in 2010. My wife gave birth. We were in the hospital for about 3 days and then went home. And newborn parent, dude, I had to take classes to get a freaking license to drive an automobile. No one taught me anything about parenting. Day 3, we go to bed, first day at home, and I wake up to my wife. I thought someone was in the house trying to murder her. It was I don't even know how to describe it. I wake up and I look over and she's just screaming, she's not breathing, she's not breathing. And so it's slow motion in my head. I look over and I see my 3-day-old daughter, purple in the face, non-responsive. So I grab her and I remember this of turning over, doing the baby Heimlich. I think I hit her 2 or 3 times and she vomited up the bile. She started breathing again. We call 911. For like a day, they're running tests, couldn't figure anything out. But I was in my mind, I'm like, what the hell? This is my firstborn, 3 days old. What's happening? One of the nurses came over, and unfortunately, I don't know how new she was, but she said, we don't know what's going on. The doctor doesn't understand what it is. We don't even know if she's going to make it through the night. And that last part was all that I heard. Again, I didn't know the positive intention back then. Mm-hmm. I think she was positive intention trying to let us know they're doing everything. But, dude, I lost it. I went straight, Dad, like, how dare you, God? Like, you better not. And fortunately, I called my dad, and I remember sharing with him what was going on. And my wife was terrified. And I remember so much anger and pain. And the one thing he said is, he goes, is that child yours? And when he asked, I was like, oh, no, I'm to steward her, but it's God's child. And I don't know how to describe it. This peace came over me of knowing that, okay, this isn't my child, but if I only get 3 days stewarding over her or another 30 plus years, I want to fully love and be present and feel in whatever lesson is to be learned. And I don't know how to explain it, but that peace came over me, and it was the first time I felt a place of detachment from trying to hold on to something with everything that I have, and allowed me to love even deeper, if that makes sense. And then here's what's crazy is my wife sees that everything, she was flat. And she goes, let me just try to prop her up at a 45-degree angle. Mother's intuition, I have no idea. This was our firstborn. Sits up, she starts taking everything, no more vomiting, starts holding everything down. Still to this day, there's a term for it, I forget what it is, but to this day, if my daughter's sick, and she's a teenager now, she has to be propped up. If not, it's like freaking poltergeist, head spinning, vomit everywhere. She's got a condition. But all it was she was down, so she couldn't hold anything down. As soon as it came up, gravity, the part that's supposed to close doesn't close all the way. She's totally fine. She survived. The reason why I share that story is because so often we cling to things that we think should or shouldn't be a certain way. And when we allow ourselves the gift to say, I'm going to love it completely, but with being detached from the outcome, I can only speak for myself. It allows me to be so much more present and to love so much deeper and to actually understand I don't have control over everything. So going all the way back to what you're saying, Chief, with the burger of zero attachment, of just stating, this is the best thing I've ever had because I'm so present and I understand that there's nothing I can do to deserve this or to get it taken away. It just is what it is.
And thank you for sharing that. I think, going through something like that and being able to discuss, because the biggest thing I take from that story is just like the power of how God can bring a peace like no other in a very, very scary, traumatic moment. Like, think about that, because there's a lot of things that happen in the world. You always hear people, why do bad things happen and all this stuff?
Yeah.
And you meet certain people personally that have stories, and then you hear, and then God came in and I felt this peace. Like everything was going to be okay. I was going to navigate, and I just showed up, and whether it works out or not, right? It's the acceptance for the outcome. For you, like, how did your relationship with God start, and how important do you find having a relationship with God is in your life today?
So this is the part where I do feel like I hit the lotto. I was born into the church. So my uncle married into the Smith family, Chuck and Kay Smith. So I grew up like during so I was born in the 70s. During the church plants, Calvary Chapel was this root movement. It was the hippies and
Lonnie Frisbee. All
yeah,
that,
it was crazy. And so I was born into that. Like some of my earliest memories were my dad was a builder, so he would have the house. People would come over. Chuck and Kay would babysit. There'd be worship going on in the corner. So I didn't know any different. That to me was normal. So I have been a believer my entire life, and I'm so grateful. But in high school, I had a teacher that said, I am every religion, I am God, and I'm atheist. And I was like, hold up. That doesn't compute. You just broke something. And he goes, why are you Christian? I'm like, well, because it's the right religion, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, no, think about it. He goes, why are you Christian? I said, well, because I was born in it. He goes, so if you were born in India, would you be Hindu? And I was like, no one's ever challenged this before. I'm like, I never thought of it that way. So before, when people would diss Jesus or say certain things, I'm like, you're ignorant. I hate you. Get out. Like, they were fighting words.
Yeah.
I didn't know. It took a long time for me to be like, hey, I am so intrigued. Will you tell me more? Like, I genuinely want to understand where you're coming from, not to try to convert you, but like, I just want to know. And so I never walked away from Christianity, but after Mr. Torelli went through this in high school, I literally went on a path. I looked into Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Taoism, all the isms, apparently. And what I found is I went around, I'm like, gosh, there's so many common threads. And then I kind of felt like I went full circle. And then, I don't know, it was a couple years later, I came back and I'm like, holy crap, like the thread of everything, like Jesus is the key. And it says God is love. So if you got hung up on the whole God thing, what if you just throw out God and say, love? I am created in love's image. Love creating me. I'm like, whoa. So the reason why I say I felt like I hit the lotto is because I never knew any different. I was born into this beautiful lottery of God loves you and this is the way, the truth, and the light. And I drank the Kool-Aid at birth. And so I feel very fortunate to have really had this strong foundation that has allowed me to understand the truth and to be connected to the source, if that makes sense, throughout my entire life. And the part when I never walked away, but by starting to ask these questions, it was beautiful at how it reinforced what I was born into.
Wow. And I love that because I think it's so important for people to educate themselves on all beliefs.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was I just got sober and I just started my walk with God. And so at this point, I'm a baby Christian, right? So everybody that believes in God, to me, I think they have all the answers at this point, right? I don't know, right? So
it's a dangerous belief, my friend.
Yeah, right. So
Look out.
So I remember I go to this Bible study, right? And these older gentlemen, again, good people, but I go to this Bible study with them. They're all like in their 60s, right? I'm sitting, the young kid, and I'm like excited for Bible study. And they're talking, and I'm listening. And I'm like, eavesdropping. And they're like, Foster, something funny happened today. I go, well, what happened? We saw these people doing yoga. That's the devil stuff. And in my head, I'm thinking like, I do yoga. In my head, I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, am I going to hell? Right? And so I found myself starting to make excuses to not show up to Bible study because I started to feel like that. I'm like, oh, I don't. And again, I don't know if maybe they're right and I'm wrong at this time, right? Because I'm so new to it. And when I met Chief, that's what helped me get closer to God, because then Chief was just like, yeah, hey, we let them vape and they want to smoke cigarettes. We baptize them, have parties and have fun. And yeah, Jesus is cool, man. Like, all truth is God's truth. And so his version helped me, be able to be open to walking this path. And when I travel to different countries, this is just me. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm wrong. But when I was living in Bali, and everyone there is Bali Hinduism, that's what it's called. So basically, Hinduism is many gods. Bali Hinduism is one god, but similar. So again, fascinated, right? So learning meditation, breath work, yoga. But what I pay attention to is they're like, look at my family. These are pictures of my kids. Do you want to come over for supper with us? This and that. Take care of my family. Love. Hey, do you need help? All that stuff. Community coming together. And I'm thinking like, so you're telling me they're all going to hell because they don't believe in our God? That doesn't make sense. They're like the nicest, kindest people in the world. I know people that are Christians that are beating their wives, that are stealing. And you're telling me, like, it just didn't compute with me. And maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe I'm wrong. But that's why I find it so important to be all things to all people, like it says in the Bible, right? Don't speak tongue if no one's going to understand you, because then you just wasted everybody's time. Like, I have no idea what you said. Be all things to all people is, I believe, is learn about what they believe in, understand it. And I love that you went on this journey and you start to see the common thread is love.
Yeah, sometimes religion gets in the way of having a one-on-one intimate experience with your creator. And that's the part where I'm like, oh yeah, we are humans, and there's humans that bring information to other people about biblical and different things. I'm like, that's right, we're all human. So of understanding there's no black and white, kind of come a full circle, right? There's no black and white. It's how do I get to know the thing, being, entity that created me in this intimate way? And what I've learned is, like, before I thought you can't ask questions, you can't buck the trend. And one of my mentors said, you don't think God can handle the questions you have or the blame you have? What if you took that to him, her, it? And I'm like, whoa. So I actually love, we tell clients of that, they're like, I want to figure the spirituality thing out. I'm like, what are the questions? And they'll ask me, I'm like, oh, I'm not the one to ask. Ask it. Yeah. Like, what do you mean? Like, I remember we had one girl, she's like, I'm angry at God because she had some messed up stuff happen to her. God, it breaks my heart when I hear that stuff. I said, have you ever taken that to God? She's like, I can't. Like, she was raised strict Christian. I'm like, do you think God could handle it? And it was this moment, kind of like the brain breaking, where she's like, can I? I go, what do you want to say? She's like, I'm angry. I'm like, he can handle your anger. And I remember in my office, she's like, I want to say F you, but isn't that blasphemous? I'm like, what if you tried? And I just remember she's like, F you. She's like, oh, and it took everything away that she had been like trained to think. And she shared, she's like, I started communicating with my creator again. I thought I couldn't take everything to my creator. And once I was okay with being mad, angry, how could you? It was like this peace and love came over me. I'm like, man, I love relearning these types of lessons, because again, being selfish, it all comes back to me, where I'm like, where can I do more of this for me? How do I continue to do this? And so that's why I love what we get to do. Right? We're always like relearning what it is that we know, but we forget.
That's so powerful. It reminds me of this movie called The Village, and I think it's with Joaquin Phoenix, and they believe that there's these monsters that live in the forest and that they can't leave, so they live in this village. And then you find out that at the end of the movie, they're just actually the villagers wearing costumes.
Oh, M. Shalahan, right?
Yeah. You know what I mean? And then that was real. Like, the other side was a normal town with people, and everything was fine outside the world. And I feel like that's what some people are, right? They're so afraid. I can't say that. Isn't that like I'm going to go to hell? I'm going to be, I can't. And because they believe it's so true, they won't do it. It's like, nothing's actually going to happen. And then, like you said, it's like and I love that. Someone told me, yeah, cuss at God. That's you still talking to God. Yeah. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be mad.
That was so blasphemous for the bulk majority of my life. until it's kind of like, you don't think the perfect being that created you can handle your anger and aggression. And then later we learn it's misdirected. It's our own insecurities, but it's like, if that's the route that it takes, I wouldn't say I love it. I still challenge it, but I push myself to continue to learn things that I don't agree with. Like, I just finished a book called Vibrational Medicine by Dr. Gerber. And it's more woo-woo. It's about chakras and different things, which no judgment, but I'm like, I don't fully understand it. I don't necessarily agree with it. So let me study it a little bit more. And it's intriguing because there's a lot of stuff I'm like, oh, that's actually scientifically backed. I had no idea. Yeah. But had I stayed closed off like I was for so much of my life, I wouldn't know that stuff. And there's still some things that, even if it's scientifically backed, I'm like, I don't fully get it or agree with it. Well, that's okay, but at least I have more information now to say, this is just my personal belief. And guess what? One of the signs of maturity is being able to change something that you once thought. Yeah. So I used to like never be like, oh, I can't contradict myself. I contradict myself all the time now. I'm like, I thought this like 2 months ago. That poor kid was an idiot. That guy didn't know. I know. And then I'm going, wait, the 2-month version of me from now is looking back at this version going,
an idiot.
Oh, you're such an idiot and I love you for it. And I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. Cool. Yeah. How about we just be less harsh on ourselves?
I love that. I know. I feel like we put so much pressure to figure out, okay, so who are you? What are your values? What are your beliefs? Where do you want to go? And like you said, I might want to be a fireman today and then an astronaut tomorrow. I like just being okay with that. I just don't know.
Well, and it's crazy because I don't think that ever leaves. I got last month I got invited. It's actually coming up next week to do a TED Talk.
I saw that. Congrats.
And thank you. And at first I'm like, I want to get the message out. This is great. I felt printed on my heart. And again, just wanting to go through the experience free of attachment or judgment, it's been difficult. Like, I've been just documenting on video the whole thing. Like 2 weeks ago, I was ready to call and to quit and be like, this is stupid. And like all the insecurities. And it has been the wildest ride of anything I've done so far of going, crap, this can either be a bomb or something good. So I'm doing the work, but I'm like, I'm going to go in and it's not up to me. I'm just going to go ahead and do what I feel has been put on my heart to do. Some organizer said, this is something we want to bring to the world. Please share your idea we're spreading. But just a part of the judgment and the screw this, I went from wanting to do it to not doing it so many times. So I spoke with the organizer like 2 days ago. She's like, you're still doing it, right? I'm like, oh, have I been projecting that? She's like, no, you're fine. We've just had two of the other speakers actually backed out last minute. And I'm going, I thought about that probably a couple hundred times, but I committed and going through and knowing this is part of the human journey. I'm going to doubt myself. I'm going to think I'm going to suck. Yeah. I may get on and suck, but I'm like, I'm going to love that version whether I do or not. Yeah. And it just, when I can sit in that pocket, it's so beautiful. And then this part just keeps getting in the way.
And I love that, right? Because it is, right? It's like the idea of like, sometimes we think like, how do I not have doubt, have fear? Any of these things, that's when I know I'm ready for this. It's like, no, you've never done it before. Mm-hmm. It's going to be there. It's a part of the process. Even if you do it a second time, you're still going to get it. That's okay. It's normal. Normalizing it. It's okay. Own it, right? Own it.
Love all the feels. And I feel like once we kind of figure that part out, it makes the ups and downs a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah. It's like learn to laugh at yourself type of thing. Don't take yourself so serious. We all feel that way. You know, I always laugh. I go, dude, going in the elevator is always the most awkward thing for me. I'm always hoping someone's not in there. And then when someone's in there, do I say hi, but you're one floor down? Do I start a conversation? That it's weird. Like, I got to walk out mid-conversation. Do I stay in the elevator? You know, do I? It's just.
I don't know why. The visual I got is I'm alone. I go, and then it opens. Someone comes in. I'm like, oh, yeah, that was me. You're walking into this. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's so funny. I love that. And tell me about this book, you know, The Recovery Way. Is this what you're doing the TED Talk on, by the way?
No, not directly, but there's definitely, I mean, there's a lot of parallels with everything that we do. So the talk is going to be on the myth of the single purpose. So many people, including myself, but come in, it's like, I screwed up too much. Like I missed my shot. For me, I didn't know what my purpose was. And then I was even more terrified. What if I picked the wrong purpose? Like I'm going to screw myself. And there's all this pressure. And it's kind of like, dude, there's no single purpose. Like some of the most content people in the world understand this whole seasonal purpose thing. And they just continue to evolve through seasons. And they love all of it. They even love what I call the pit of pain when they're in the wandering, what is it, in the desert part. Yeah. Like, how do you learn to love that? I'm like, wait, what? So the book isn't about that. That's the talk. But the book is just after so many years of people coming in and creating frameworks, because I think I shared this earlier, I struggle understanding even some of the most more simple things. Like if it's complex, forget about it. If it's simple, I kind of get it.
Yeah.
And so I started trying to figure out complex things with human psychology and all the different modalities out there. Like, which one's right? What if I study the wrong one? So there's only one right. No, I'm kidding. But so I just started pulling these different things and started seeing frameworks from just asking. Like it started with the first couple of years, we'd do 6-month follow-up. I'm like, how come you're doing so well? And someone else is 6 months back in treatment somewhere else. I'm like, I don't get it. And so just genuinely wanting to learn after years and years and years, I started seeing there are commonalities with those that are crushing it in life and happy and fulfilled. And I'll say it somewhat loosely because it's not blanketed, but so many people don't struggle anymore with the cravings. They're like, I don't know how to explain it other than like it's magically been lifted. I'm like, I hear that and I get pissed because there's some people that go, I want that, how come? So I don't want to mislabel, but I started seeing these things. And so as I started putting it into a framework, the way that I live life is I go, let me be the guinea pig first. I'm going to try this on me. I'm like, man, my quality of life has gotten so much better. So I've got 2 different groups of guys. I got a men's group for Bible-based and a men's group business-based. So I'm like, okay, let me try it in my groups. And once we started getting results, I'm like, okay, now I'll try it in the center. And so I started bringing it in. We started seeing different results. And so that was where fleshed it out, started doing it. And over years, people say, dude, you need to write a book. Like it is so simple. It's overlooked. And I'm like, I know. We tend to dismiss simplicity, but it's the simplicity of consistency that continues to help us grow. And so, dude, I'm not a writer. I don't even speak English that good. And so that's where I'm like, no. And then one of the years, so every year, the final week, I sit down and it's me and God. And I say, okay, here's what I was accountable to for this year. How did I do? What are you wanting me to be accountable to next year? Some people call them goals, call whatever you want. And one of the years this came up and I'm like, I'm not an author. It's like, you need to write this. And I'm like, okay, now am I really delusional? Is this God? I still don't know,
right.
But I've learned to listen.
Yeah.
And so that's where I sat down, and it was an hour a day for a year straight. So 365 hours
Hour a day, wow.
of writing every single morning. I was up at 4 a.m. I made the commitment. So when you asked about the addiction mindset,
there it is.
Dude, I'm committed an hour a day. Some days, like literally. So here's how messed up my mind is. It's a blank screen. It's coming up to 59 minutes of my commitment. I'm like, period. Okay, I did something. Like I'd have to do the period just to be like, okay, I kept my commitment because nothing came. Later, I found out people call it writer's block. So apparently I'm a writer. I don't know. And so I just did it and kept fleshing it out and then ran it through a lot of people. And this is what came of it. And the coolest thing that I had no idea is every once in a while I'll get a random email. It just happened, December? So just a few months ago, some guy in England said, hey, man, I just want to say thank you. You completely changed my life. I'm like, oh, remind me, who are you? He's like, oh, yeah. So I saw your book somewhere. I went ahead and ordered it, loved it, changed my life. I have an app that I created too. He goes, I went through the 90-day part of your app. He said, I've never been this happier in my life. Like, It is amazing. My life has changed. Thank you. I've never met the person. We probably never will meet. And so that's why like I love creating with a creator is, dude, we get to impact someone I had no idea.
Yeah, what does that feel like to know that somebody found your book, went out of their way to buy your book, read your book, do the 90-day thing, and then be like, thank you. This is like the best I've ever felt. Like, how does that feel in that moment?
So here's the part that I call divine intervention or divine direction. Probably once a quarter, I think, what the hell am I doing? Like, am I really even making a change?
Yeah.
And there's a part of me, the humanistic side, that goes, screw this, I want to quit because like my friends who did real estate, they're retired. And I'm like, I should just go do real estate. But every time I feel like I want to quit, I'm like, this sucks. Within sometimes days, it's been a week max, something like that happens. And I'm like, my life's not about me. I keep getting in the way. That's what I was talking about earlier. I keep getting in the way of how can I be used. And so that is the coolest thing, is knowing that I think not because I'm me, but because I listen. That the more I listen, the more things that are given to me to give out, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And that's, to me, like at the end of my life, whether it's another, I think I shared this with you. My goal is to be 121 years old.
Yeah.
I may or may not make it. I try to live in a way that supports that. But whether I die tomorrow Or at 121, I want my final day to go up and to have him say, well done, my good and faithful servant. You listened and you took the action that I imprinted upon your heart. And it's so hard. That's the battle. The battle is like, I don't want to do that, God. That's uncomfortable. Hence the TED Talk. Dude, I don't want to be in front of that. You kidding me? There's so many parts. I'm like, I'm not the guy, dude. I'm not, no. And so pushing myself outside the comfort zone, going, this isn't about me. This is about a message that it has the potential to reach enough people that just a tiny shift of an idea can open up a complete different way of life. And how dare me with my own insecurities get in the way of doing that? And that's the struggle. Still, even today, going through it, I'm like, screw it, I still want to quit. I'm not going to because I'm committed, but dang, it's tough.
Yeah, I get that. It's like you said, right? There's a beauty in when you have a heart to help people. Right?
Yeah.
It's not for everybody, but man, those of us that love it, that little twinkle in their eye when they get it, a moment of clarity, an aha moment. It's like, wow, we forever make an imprint on that person's life, and there's a ripple effect.
Well, that's one part that I admire so much about you, and why I think just from the very first time we met, I'm like, dude, you're different, and I love and honor that. Is even just talking with people like, oh yeah, did you hear Faust? I'm like, I got to reach out. No, what did he do now? They're like, man, he was at the prisons, and this one guy, and I'm like, oh, that is so cool that you listen to the taps, because it's so easy not to. To go and to share, and you share so openly and beautifully. There's the insecure part of me. It's like, I want to be more like Fausto, man. He's so beautiful with his gift of talking and connecting, and I love that, and I affirm that. And it's so cool, and I think that's why you're such an attractive person to be around, because you've learned to listen to that part. And the more we can put ourselves around people like you, we learn to listen more too, if that makes sense.
And thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
because it's so funny, because I never view myself like that.
I don't think any of us do.
Yeah, it's hard. I always look at myself. This is how I view myself. Okay, I'm doing some cool stuff, but man, that other person that spoke there, look at him. He's really got the gift, not me. I mean, look how many likes, comments. You know what I mean? Like, well, everybody wants to be around him, not me. You know what I mean? And so my brain will mess with me to be like, maybe I hit a ceiling. Maybe I'm delusional, Fausto. I even start to think maybe your story's not good enough. So you know what I mean? Like, you got to stop sharing. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, should I start lying? Like, I went to prison for 20 years. I'm going to start saying that. Like, my mind will go there.
Everyone's like, we know BS, man. You're not down that long.
You go to prison 20 years. So, but I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, I feel like my purpose in this season, right?
I like that.
Is it's really just, I want to be people's utopia. When you're with me, I want the world to be perfect the way we all wish it was, but it won't be. You know, we're all flawless. But when you're with me, guess what? Your food's paid for. When you're with me, I'll open up that opportunity for you for free. When you're with me, I'll give you free therapy. When you're with me, I'll invest into your nonprofit. When you're with me, I will introduce you to that person you really want to meet. When you're with me, I'll get you on that podcast. You know what I mean? I want to be that for a person when they're with me. I like being the underdog, helping the underdog, because I've seen in life, and this is just human nature, if you look really good physically in the United States, let's just say here in California, LA, you get more opportunities. It's just what happens. It's just what it is, right? You get away with more things. You get opportunities. It's just what it is. It's not personal. If your parents are somebody important, people may treat you better. You're so-and-so. Oh, hey, how's it going? Would you like to come over for dinner? Or there's something you can offer. I want to be the person that's like, man, nobody wants to give you the opportunity. I'll give it to you. No one's trying to help you. I'll help you. And that's kind of like my philosophy in life, is just being that genuine person with no ulterior motive, no matter what.
So some call that Christ consciousness. Like when Jesus came down, who was he hanging out with? Actually, most of the Bible shows like all the people that thought, like Judaism and everything, that thought they were the hierarchy. It's like, no, actually, you guys are messing up way more than the prostitutes and over here. And that's the part where I'm like, dang, like how cool to know no matter what you've done in this life, there's a part of you that is so lovable and redeemable. And it's a beautiful thing. Like it's truly, it's like the telltale sign, or oh gosh, what is it, like the hero's journey? Basically, it's like no matter what it is, we all want to always root for the underdog. And to know it's like, man, no matter how broken I've felt or how many mistakes I've made, I am worthy of a life that is so much more joyous than I've been living. And when we start, you use the term delusional. Once we believe this delusion over the delusion of I'm not, I'm like, I always think of Guns N' Roses, choose your illusion, but I'll say choose your delusion.
Choose your delusion.
Like that's part of this experience we're in. It's just like, you get to choose. We just didn't know. We've been choosing this unconsciously of the negative delusion. What if I choose the positive delusion where I'm so thankful for everything?
Yeah.
I remember that I saw this was probably like maybe 6 years ago. They show a guy in a Ferrari looking up at the dude in the helicopter going, man, I wish I had one of those. And when you swipe, it's a dude in a pickup truck looking at the guy in the Ferrari going, man, I wish I had one of those. And then you swipe and it's a guy in a bike going, man, I wish I had one of those for the truck. And I remember thinking, I'm like, oh, this is so good. It's so clear. And there's a few little dots at the bottom. I'm like, wait, there's more? And you go, it's a guy walking, looking at the guy on the bike going, man, I wish I had one of those. You're like, okay, I get it. And there's still another dot. I'm like, what? I swipe to the right, and it's a dude in a wheelchair looking at the guy walking going, I wish I had a pair of those. And I'm sitting here going, I can relate with everything. It's never enough if that's what I'm chasing. How do I be happy with what I'm given now while still working for the pursuit of what is next?
Yeah.
And it's this beautiful harmony and disharmony of fully content and blissfully dissatisfied. I've heard the term before. I'm like, oh, I love that. I am so blissful and joyful in this moment, knowing that I'm going to continue to do the work. Not because I have to or need to, but because it's what we're here to do.
I love that. It's I had this thing where it's have no expectations, but high hope. Right? Again, that balance, right? That juggling balance of what it is. And I think it's so true, right? It's Ecclesiastics. You can have everything, and guess what? It doesn't really matter. All that stuff, you can have this, you can have that. It doesn't really matter. What matters sometimes is just the food that you're eating and and the water that's quenching your thirst and that time with God, with your people. And so, yeah, it's so true. It's we always want more, so we got to be careful because it will never be enough. Yeah. And some of us have a higher pain threshold for wanting more, unfortunately. Some of us fall more. And I love that because I truly believe those who are broken the most love the most. And you see it in treatment, right? You get all these characters that you would never see hang out in public together. But because we all have addictions, we're all together. And when they sober up, kind, nice, respectful, talented, and you have those moments where they're laughing together, playing volleyball together, whatever it is. And you're just like, whoa. And it's like, yeah, but these are all drug addicts and alcoholics. He did this, he stole that, he did that, he was in prison, this and that. You're like, okay, what? But that's who they really are to the core. Just life happened. And that's how they were surviving. So as we come to the end of this episode, and again, I want to bring you on for more because there's so much I want to talk about with you. We do speed questions.
Okay.
So my first speed question is, what are 3 books that you would recommend to somebody that could completely change their life?
So Dark Side of the Light Chasers by Debbie Ford, hands down one of the top. I'm not going to say Bible because I think so many people. I already said that. So I want to give you different ones. Yeah. Loving What Is by Byron Katie is one that really opened my eyes to really accepting life and people and places and things as they are instead of trying to change everything.
What's it called?
Loving What Is.
Ooh, I like
so
that.
It's a beautiful book. So Loving What Is, Dark Side of the Light Chasers. And then a third book, I don't really know.
The Recovery
that
Way.
would definitely not top 3. I recommend it, but I'm trying to think of all time. Gosh, there's so many. You know, this one I don't know was top 3, but it just came to me. It's called Heart Math. The Heart Math Solution by Doc Chilray. So it's scientifically backed, but they link EKGs and EEGs, which is brain waves and heart waves, and they're actually they function on their own. They're not in sign with each other. And what they found is when you breathe a certain way through your heart and actually direct your thoughts within a few minutes, and they have it scientifically proven, it syncs up perfectly.
Oh, wow.
And it is incredible at how it changes the emotional state, because there's a lot of people that say, if you learn how to manage your emotional states, you have basically domination over everything in life, meaning no matter what's happening, if I can get into a beautiful state, I can accept pain easier, or depression like me, or I can enjoy the beauty. And so that's one that I keep coming back to. We teach our clients of how to do just by breathing differently and thinking differently. It's called heart coherence. So the Heart Math Solution is definitely one where I'm like, dude, that's woo-woo stuff force myself to read it. When it's amazing, all scientifically backed. And I still to this day do my meditation with my heart math each morning. And it like sinks you to the source of the creator, as woo-woo as that sounds.
And the breath work right there, right? Even there it is, what you're talking about. Just even knowing that, it's like, well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's why it works. I love that. And then what was one single mindset shift that completely changed your life?
So I'll have to go with what I'm doing the TED Talk on, is that purpose is not fixed. The thought of a single purpose is a myth. And understanding that, just like everything in life, if I can go in understanding that purpose is seasonal, it gives me permission to fail. I don't have to carry this weight all the time. So that would probably be the biggest mindset that gave me permission to be okay with not knowing what's next. And when I'm at the peak, to enjoy it. When I'm at the pit, to actually enjoy it as well.
Yeah, I think that's so good, because it almost allows you to be like, hey, I know that's what you wanted to do, but you don't want to do no more. And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, just understanding the whole thought process of, I don't want to be attached to what I think life should be, because if my joy is contingent on external circumstances, I will always be enslaved to a relationship, people, places, things, as they say in the program. So that decoupling of, I want to be a creator of joy and fulfillment and not a seeker or a consumer. And that is, so I guess that's the second part of the mindset shift, is understanding that once I understand the power of creation, that I can create my own joy and love no matter what. It is so freeing to live, because now I'm not like, it has to go this way. Because the humanistic side of me coming in here, I'm like, okay, I want to sound good and smart, and I'm like, you know what? Help me be present. And if nobody else got anything, I did. So I had the freaking fantastic time on here.
I love that. And then this was a funny one. What's the worst piece of advice someone's ever given you?
Oh gosh. So one of my earliest pastors in life actually ended up marrying my wife and I. He just passed last year. And so we went to his memorial, and it was so beautiful celebrating his life. The guy was so amazing, but he had this saying, and it was said in a loving way, and he was kidding, but kind of serious. No matter what you do, he'd say, just don't suck. And so like the worst piece of advice we can give ourselves is don't suck, because anything we do, by definition, when it's new to us, we're gonna suck. We're gonna suck hardcore. And not even looking at how do I get good, it's like, how do I just suck less? And so giving myself permission to suck it no matter what I do, it's so freeing. So the worst piece of advice is to think you have to perform or don't suck. If you go in going, even if I suck, I want to have so much fun. I'm going to be the most fun sucker. That sounded a little weird, but you know what I mean.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Some people are like, woo.
Yeah. I guess that's a fun sucker. That's a little bit better than mother. Okay, whatever.
No, I love that. And it's so true, right? It's like, if you've never done salsa, you're going to suck the first time. Learn to laugh. It's okay. Like, I'm going to suck, guys, today. I don't have no coordination. So
a little side note, you brought up salsa. Here's a little fun fact for you. So I got to spend some time in Cuba in 2002. I don't know how they did this as students, because the embargo was lifted. We got to meet Fidel Castro. But one of the things that I had on my list was, I want to learn salsa from a Cuban girl. And her name was Yenny. I still remember this. She taught me how to salsa in Cuba. So when you said you're going to suck at salsa, I sucked, but she stayed with me for, I want to say it's a few nights we were there, and she danced with me every single night and taught me the salsa.
That's amazing.
So a little fun fact. I still suck at salsa.
See, I'm good at making salsa,
there you
but
go.
not dancing salsa. And then let's say for a final question, you have 1 minute with somebody and they're battling with a very deep depression. To them, they're like, Mark, I've tried everything. I'm doomed to be depressed. I'm doomed to end my life. I'm just doomed to be miserable. Nothing's going to work. What would you want to tell them?
Well, this one, I wouldn't even tell them. I'm going back to telling me, and it's the thing that actually kept me going, is stay in the game. What I mean by that is, because I walked out one day with the intent to take my life. I still remember walking out. I was living at my dad's house. I walked out, and I was going down the street, and I had it in my mind that was the day. And something inside of me did not let me go through, which I'm so thankful for. So the best piece of advice is, look, just stay in the game. Don't confuse a moment for a lifetime. Don't confuse a season for an identity. Stay in the game. I promise it may not be today. It may not be tomorrow. It may not even be a few months from now. But if you continue to seek, you shall find. And when you seek, the truth does come. It's just we're stuck in this plane where we look at time as something we measure. We're outside, and we're going to get a little woo-woo. Outside of here, time does not exist. Time is something that we made up.
Yeah.
So when we understand that, that's why when I'm doing something I love, I can do it for hours and it feels like minutes. When I'm doing something I hate, it can be minutes and feel like hours. So of understanding the grace to forgive myself, of stating, even though I'm struggling with this, I don't see another way out. Keep asking the questions, keep challenging. But the biggest thing is stay in the game.
And that's beautiful. I think more people, especially men, need to be more vocal about, suicidal ideations and sharing stories that I felt like that, and this is what helped me. Because a lot of people feel shame for it, don't want to talk about it, or sometimes people don't know how to navigate those conversations either. When someone brings it up, it could be a hard thing to like, hey, I want to kill myself. And I always tell people, sometimes people don't know how to. It's not that they don't care about you. Sometimes they don't know what to do with that information.
Well, yeah, people aren't trained. So this is something that actually hits really close to home, because we've lost a few people just in the last few months, even the last few weeks that we've known and done so much with, and it sucks because 2 years ago I went on a podcast and the mom shared how her son took his life and how horrific of an experience it was, but what it did is it planted a seed, and she started a movement. And when she shared her story with me, I don't know why, I've just learned to listen. I said, I want to learn more about this. So I actually started volunteering 2 years ago at a crisis suicide center. I have over 200 and something hours of doing it. So I'm trained, I'm certified. Even with that, sometimes there's still no signs from people. And so of understanding that, gosh, if you're thinking or feeling that, there's the suicide center, there's people to talk to. Please exhaust every option. Give yourself permission to say, let me exhaust every option first, and then I still can revisit this in the future. But for right now, exhaust everything before making that decision, because, man, there's so many ups and downs in life. And if you're in the downswing, there's ways to get back up to the up. But if you don't stay in the game, you can't ever get back to there. So that's the part that I'm crushed with when I hear that, because it is avoidable. And I understand that pain. I'm like, dude, I just want to hug that person's soul and just be like, I get it. Like, I love you. I'm not here to fix you. I'm not here to tell you it's right or wrong. I'm just here to say I get it and I love you. I don't want to see another person pass because of suffering.
Yeah, I think there was a study that was like 90-something% of people, they figured out like regret it. Like somehow they're able to tell what the body does or something, like before, like right when they jumped off or did something, that they instantly regretted it. I have a buddy, one of my buddies is the guy who jumped off the Empire State Bridge, San Francisco, or the Golden Gate Bridge. He's the one that jumped off and survived. The SEAL picked him up and like brought him to shore. And yeah, he said it too. He goes, the moment I jumped off, I regretted it. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa.
I don't, and again, this is just from my personal experience. I don't think anyone ever wants to die. I just think, like for me, I didn't know how to live in the pain, and I didn't know a way to get out of the pain. So it was, I don't see hope. There wasn't a single part of me that wanted to die. It was just, I want out of the pain. And once I started to learn the beauty of the things that I still do to this day every morning, because life still sucks at times. Like that's one thing. People are like, oh, once you get sober and recovered, everything is great. I'm like, no, actually it's, I mean, I don't want to screw people up, but I'm like, it actually gets a little harder, but it gets more beautiful. And when you can live the ups and downs. So the whole point of that is like, I've never met anyone that truly wanted to die. They just didn't know how to get out of the pain that they were in. And if we can just help that soul understand there's different ways to get out of that pain. I've never heard a person say, I wish I would have actually gone through with it. They say, I'm so glad I didn't. Yeah. And I'm one of those guys.
Yeah, same here. It was at the moment, the suicidal attempts were just, at that time, this is the only way out of this pain. Yeah. There's nothing I can do. No workout, no food, no person. This is the way. And then, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Oh my gosh, I'm going to do it. And then it's like you said, some people follow through with it. And it's just, in that moment, that's all they saw to be the escape.
Well, spiritual pain's the worst. Like physical pain, dude, I'm kind of strong. I mean, please don't test me. But I'm like, okay, physical pain I'm good with. Emotional pain sucks, but that spiritual pain, and that's the part where the spiritual healing, though, once you get past that or through that, is beautiful. And that's where, again, kind of going full circle. I never would have thought I would actually have a loving relationship with my depression. I would have said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You're moronic. Both may be equally true for me, but I'm like, yeah, but I learned how to love that part. When I did, I have such a wonderful relationship. And it's actually allowed all these other emotions too and insecurities to be like, wait, you love us too? It's like, well, I think so, but why don't you help teach me how you want to be loved? And it's just this beautiful thing. And maybe that's the whole point to life, is how do I love every part of me? It's a cool journey, man.
It's powerful. Well, Mark, I just want to say thank you so much for, being on here today and, sharing your vulnerability, your time, your wisdom. Like I said, I admire you because you're radically authentic and real. There's like in all aspects, whether it's your marriage, your relationship with your kids, your work, your friends, yourself. I never feel like there's like you're trying to play this character that you're the best at this. You don't have problems here. You can do this and that. You're like, I struggle here. I struggle there. Man, I did this last night. Man, I overthought this. I did that. I was thinking this, and then I'm selfish right now because I did this. Like, but I love that because it's like you're giving people permission to accept themselves for being flawed and knowing this is normal. It doesn't make you a bad person. We all have bad behaviors. Yeah. Like you don't get married and you're like, man, I got married and therapy, like we have no issues. That's when the therapist says somebody's lying. Yeah. It's impossible, And
they're both sitting across from me.
Yeah. Two liars are here. And so I love that about you because it helps me feel okay with myself. Like, oh, I thought I had to like fix everything permanently. Like, okay, Mark just admitted that he's still this. I'm like, oh gosh, thank you. Because everybody else that's presented themselves as a male figure in scenarios act like they have no problems and they're perfect.
Oh man,
and that makes people feel crazy.
So thank you. It feels good. So I thank you for affirming that. It feels really good hearing that. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, like there's this fat, porn addicted, like all the stuff throughout my life. Like there's that guy in there, and I'm like, how do I just love you so you don't have to act out? And I don't think there's never been a perfect person to walk the earth except for one person, if you believe in what we do. But I'm like, how do I just love to learn myself? And here's the formula that I learned from two brilliant guys, actually. I went through a week-long experience with them. It was brilliant. But John Townsend and Henry Cloud. And
I love Henry Cloud.
They're boundaries.
I love that book.
Number 4.
Yeah, that's a great book. There's a lot of them too,
book.
Guys.
But so I got to go through a week-long experience with them. It was like intensive group therapy. And one of the things they said is, here is the formula. If you have too much grace, there's no growth. But if you have too much truth, there's no growth. When you have truth and grace, that's the perfect formula for growth. Because when we keep messing up and we're like, oh, that's okay, buddy, and we keep doing the same thing, that's too much grace. We don't change. There's no growth. When we're too hard on ourselves, where it's all truth and no grace, there's no forgiveness, we don't grow. So when I heard that, I'm like, oh my gosh, because there's been seasons where it's all grace out of shame, and there's been seasons where all truth out of condemnation. And I'm like, when we bring the two together, and it's not perfect, it's not black and white. Some days I need a hell of a lot more grace, and other days, oh, it sucks, but I need so much more truth. But by understanding this is how we're able to be perfectly imperfect in this world and be like, I just want to learn how to love myself and love others.
Yeah, and that's so powerful. I love that grace and truth and that balance. So powerful. So yeah, Mark, so where can people reach you? Where can people get your book?
Book's on Amazon. It's called The Recovery Way. They can reach me. They can just go to the Instagram. It's at Mark C. Manderson. And then again, if you just go ahead and DM me, Fausto, I'll send over that Google document. It's the gift to the world that isn't even mine to give. I got it and I want to keep giving it because it works.
I love that. Well, Mark, I just want to say again, thank you for coming on.
You got it. Appreciate you, man.